What's up, everybody, and welcome to The Lawyer You Know. And today we're going to be breaking down if Alec Baldwin just had his first big win in the Rust shooting case. The criminal charges that came down against Alec Baldwin were involuntary manslaughter with this deadly weapon, this gun enhancement that carried with it up to 5 extra years. Instead of what he was looking at was more like 18 months as a potential sentence based on this crime charged. And the verbiage and the comments made by the prosecuting attorneys in this case give us a little insight into what this legal battle is going to be like and whether or not they're already on their heels. We've got some information. Was this a publicity stunt? Are they just trying to get good press out of this? What is going to happen and what can we expect in the future? So if you guys are interested in this content, specifically the Rust shooting case, hit that like button and let me know in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to our page if you haven't already, because you are not going to want to miss our future updates and future videos on this case. Most of you have sent this to me already on Instagram and Twitter in the DMs. If you want to follow me there, at Tragos Law is how you do that. But let's jump into it, because we know he was charged with not only involuntary manslaughter, 2 different counts, but they are not counts stacked on top of each other. It is one or the other. But with this enhancement, which was added leverage and pressure from the state, because he's looking at 5 additional years in prison because of this enhancement. Well, that enhancement is already gone. I think less than a month into this case, it's already gone. So first, let's talk about why it's gone. Alec Baldwin's attorneys filed a motion saying that the prosecuting attorneys in this case made a simple and juvenile legal error by filing under a statute that was not even in place at the time of the shooting. The shootings happened at the end of 2021, and apparently this new verbiage coming in with this enhancement came down in early 2022, and therefore it is not retroactively applied. Meaning if it didn't happen after 2022 when this language changed, you can't put this enhancement up. So they filed that motion, which seems like it's pretty legitimate based on the case law and the jurisdiction that we're dealing with here. And how did they respond? They took some shots at these high-priced lawyers that want to bill in this case. And instead of this pricey back and forth legal discovery and legal battle, we're just going to drop this enhancement and move on. Well, that tells me a few things. Number one, it tells me Alec Baldwin and his attorneys were right. This law was not retroactively applied and did come out after the shooting, so therefore it could not apply to that. Now, was there some other enhancement or some other verbiage they might have been able to apply? Maybe, but it was clear that this was not that correct verbiage, and they tried to apply it anyways, which then begs the next question. Was this a publicity stunt? Were they trying to make it seem worse or scarier for Alec Baldwin by adding this enhancement unnecessarily? Now, most of us are looking at this case thinking Alec Baldwin probably did something wrong. Was it criminal? We're not so sure. Civilly, it seemed pretty negligent. Is it a negligent homicide, an involuntary manslaughter? Maybe. We're all willing to look at this with an open mind. And this gun enhancement seems logical, seems like it makes sense since there was, in fact, a gun involved, and most states have this kind of enhancement, but it seemed like they picked the wrong one, and they're backing off so easily, which is very interesting to me. And they're not backing off and, being bashful about it, but they're coming out taking shots at Alec Baldwin's high-priced lawyers. Well, so far, those high-priced lawyers have made one very strong legal move that has just gotten rid of the scariest penalty in this entire case for Alec Baldwin. So now he's back to looking probably at 18 months. And that's if he loses. Additionally, they're making comments and throwing things out to the public to make it seem like Alec Baldwin's lawyers are just trying to bill and filing unnecessary motions to try and make money. That has nothing to do with justice. And the whole reason they brought this case was for justice for the victims. So they are posturing here already, at least publicly speaking, that they are in the position that cares about justice, and Alec Baldwin and his lawyers just care about making money and saving face. The quote was, "In order to avoid further litigious distractions by Mr. Baldwin and his attorneys, the district attorney and the special prosecutor have removed the firearm enhancement to the involuntary manslaughter charges in the death of Helena Hutchins on the Rust film set. The prosecution's priority is securing justice, not securing billable hours for big city attorneys. I love it when people act like being a successful, high-priced lawyer automatically means a bad thing. Oh, no, no, no. Usually that's a good thing. And usually they fight for justice. And if you filed under the wrong statute, you don't deserve to go forward on it. You're not going to make a name against their client by filing things under improper statutes. And I think that looks good on them. That's exactly what lawyers are supposed to do. The quote from Baldwin's legal team: "The prosecutors committed a basic legal error by charging Mr. Baldwin under a version of the firearm enhancement statute that did not exist on the date of the accident. The accident occurred on October of 2021, and that law did not take effect until May of 2022. Pretty interesting. But that's not the only motion they have filed. They have also filed a motion to disqualify the special prosecutor in the case that New Mexico hired specifically for this case. They got additional budget, additional funds, additional resources to bring her on to file this case. And they stated that under Section 1 of Article 3 of the New Mexico Constitution, a sitting member of the legislature may not exercise any powers properly belonging to either the executive or judicial branch. It's very interesting when something like this comes up. We're seeing right now in the Murdaugh trial, a sitting state senator represent Alec Murdaugh. Now, that's not coming under the state's powers because he is representing Alec Murdaugh, which I think is interesting. But the defense also says, were the arrangement here approved by the courts, future district attorneys could seek to curry favor with legislatures who control their budgets by appointing them to high-profile cases, distorting the legislative process. So that means you don't want to set up a situation where they go ask, say, hey, we need this big budget. Give us $1 million so we can go hire you, ma'am, the one that's approving our $1 million budget, so we can hire you and pay you $1 million to prosecute this case. We don't want to set that up. Again, from the filing, a prosecutor who also serves as a legislator could face pressure to make prosecutorial decisions that serve her legislative interests, such as by prosecuting a prominent defendant associated with the opposing faction within the legislature, even in the face of conflicting evidence or law. We already know they've asked for extra money. They've gotten some extra money, but we have to be wary of conflicts of interest and not to mix this up politically. In short, it's another quote, there can be no question that Representative Reeb is violating both the plain text of and the purpose of the New Mexico Constitution's separation of powers provision by serving simultaneously as a legislator and a prosecutor. She must be removed. Very, very interesting. And we've already had a response from the DA's office that said Mr. Baldwin and his attorneys can use whatever tactics they want to distract from the fact that Helena Hutchins died because of gross negligence and a reckless disregard for safety on the Rust film set. The district attorney and the special prosecutor will remain focused on the evidence and on trying this case so justice is served. Neither side is backing down at this point. And it seems like the louder it gets in the public, the more media attention it gets, the more each side is going to have to dig in. So it seems like the DA's office is out for blood. They want to convict him of this involuntary manslaughter. I thought it was just leverage to put the pressure on him so he would plead to something like David Hall has pled to. But as it sits right now, it seems like Alec Baldwin is going to do anything but roll over, do anything but admit guilt, do anything but plead guilty. His lawyers are fighting every little piece of this case as is appropriate, as long as these motions are not frivolous. They've already been successful on getting rid of the enhancement. Will they be successful in removing the special prosecutor appointed because of a conflict of interest? We will see how that comes down. I could see this argument going either way, but it's an interesting thought process, and it shows they are coming out guns blazing. It also shows the DA's office knows that they're dealing with high-priced big city lawyers, as they called them, and that they are going to fight everything. They can call it a distraction. They can call it gaining billable hours. But at this point, it is a zealous defense of Alec Baldwin. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know again, if you are following this case and want me to follow it with you, please let me know by liking this video and subscribing to our page. I appreciate everyone that's coming in and along the rides of these wild cases with us. And the only way for me to know what content you are most interested in is for you to let me know here on YouTube or on Instagram and Twitter at Tragos Law. Look us up there, send us a DM, hit the like button, subscribe, all the YouTubey things on the way out. Thanks for joining me. I'm out of here.